appears you've entered my household. Well, welcome to Casa de Pablo. Well, looks like I made it. I'm a senior and it's time for me to move on to bigger and better things. So I figure before I move on with my life, I'll give you guys some advice. Well, let's start from the beginning. How did I get into the theater? Well, the first show I ever watched from in Drain Theater was a little play called Holes. It was pretty interesting because they actually put it on in the cafeteria. It was a pretty unique setup, I will say. I still remember how the gun didn't go off in one of the shows and Tuba still had to die. So he kind of just faked his death right then and there, and we all kind of had to accept that, hey, he's dead now, even though the gun didn't go off. But that wasn't quite enough to get me in the theater just yet. It took me a little while longer. So after I watched this little show called Peter and the Starcatcher, I was like, you know what, I really want to be a part of this. So I waited until the winter show came around, and well, it originally was supposed to be a Christmas story, but that didn't quite work out. So it became It's a Wonderful Life, and I managed to score the roles of Peter Bailey and Mr. Gower. I'll say Mr. Gower was definitely an interesting role for me, just because it was basically just me, a little fancy accent. So I was kind of just being myself with that entire role the entire time. And Peter Bailey, a father figure, so it wasn't too hard to portray. And then, after that show was said and done, we moved on to the musical, which was Shrek the Musical at the time. Funny thing with Shrek was, I originally was going to be a techie for that, but then everyone was like, no, keep on acting. And I was like, okay, because for whatever reason, musical theater wasn't really my thing, which was quite ironic just because I really like music, but for whatever reason, musical theater just wasn't really my forte. But I was like, you know what, I'll audition, see what happens. I'm not really a good dancer. I don't really consider myself a good singer. But I figure I'll audition and I'll see what happens. And I managed to score the role of a happy villager in A Lowly Knight. Now, I really loved being the knight just because I basically just got to follow Aaron around and just do whatever I want. And I had no lines for the show really besides just the songs I had to learn. It got to the point where basically I had nothing else to do, where basically if Aaron couldn't make it to practice, I read all his lines and I managed to memorize all his lines. So really I was just waiting for the day for when he couldn't show up to one of the shows so I can just take his place and have my time to shine. But of course he was there for every show, but that's okay. I still enjoyed every second of Shrek. And then after that, of course, I managed to become a thespian, because usually after 2 shows you're able to become a thespian. And so fall comes around and I auditioned for a little role in a show called Death of a Salesman. Now, one thing I'll say about Uncle Ben is that we are very similar people. We're just kind of these dark, mysterious characters that no one really knows too much about, but we show up, we do what we gotta do, and we get our message across. And that was one thing I really liked about being Uncle Ben. One thing about Death of a Salesman I'll never forget is it was a really kind of, I wouldn't say crazy show, but it was just it was definitely a little bit of a struggle, especially just the way the dialogue was written. I feel like everyone kind of had trouble memorizing their lines for the show for the most part. I mean, I remember just the last scene between Matt, Tessa, and I, we would always have a struggle going through. Just because it was basically just me interjecting my lines into their conversation. So it probably didn't help that we didn't really go through that scene that much, but it was just crazy how opening night we managed to get that scene down perfectly. It was just beautiful. And even at State, when we performed that scene, it was even better than before. I just loved every second of it. Now, of course, we didn't get too far in State, but hey, I like to think we got first place overall, perfect score regionals. We beat everyone around here, so hey, that's an A-okay in my book. Overall, what can I say? I've really enjoyed every single moment in my experiences with theater. I mean, my times at theater have been some of the best moments in my life. I mean, I feel like theater is giving me a chance to kind of express myself more and speak up more for my mind and stuff like that. And, just give me more of a voice, because before I wouldn't say I was necessarily antisocial, but it was kind of like, I was kind of just doing my own thing and just like not really opening up to anyone. Now, well, of course, I still kind of retain some of my antisocialness, if you want to call it. I still feel like, hey, if someone comes up to me and they want to say hi and talk to me, I'm there for them. And another thing I kind of realized while doing theater is that while I've always had a love for music, I've been doing music for like the past 7 years, I feel like, theater has been kind of more my forte, I guess, in a sense. It's like, well, I still am, I guess, kind of musically inclined. It's just that, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's enough to meet the standards. But I know with theater, like I can always do theater. Like I don't really have to meet a certain set standard per se. Like I can kind of just do my own thing and just express myself the way I want to. Not saying you can't do the same thing with music, but the thing with music is just like, it's really easy to appreciate music for what it is just the simplicity behind listening to music and hearing what the artist has to say behind it. But like when it comes down to understanding music as a science and how to make it, that's why I feel like it was just a really difficult part for me, just kind of just understanding what makes music tick and how it works really. Now before I end things off here, I figured I'd give you guys some advice. Now I know it's been kind of a struggle leading up to Mary Poppins and all, just various things just not going our way. But you know what, in the end it all works out. I mean, in the end the crowd's always gonna love us, whatever we do. And even if we screw up here and there, in the end it'll always be a good show. Now there's a word I wanted to tell you guys about. It's a little word called synergy. Now for those of you who don't know what synergy is, it basically means a group of people working together to do the best job possible. I want to say it for you one more time just because I want each and every one of you to remember this word. Synergy is a group of people working together to do the best job possible. Now, synergy doesn't necessarily just apply to theater, it can really apply to just anything in life, really. If you want to be good at what you do, you kind of have to be willing to work together with other people and be willing to do the best job possible. Another thing I want to tell you guys is, just be prepared for any role you're going to get. Because, I mean, sure, it's not bad to, want to audition for a specific role, but, say the director feels you don't fit that role right and he puts you somewhere else, just be prepared to work with it and, just be prepared for anything. And, just try your best to do whatever role you're giving. I know for me, at least when I did my auditions, I never really say I am auditioning for a specific role. I'm just surprise me, give me whatever you got and I'll do my best with that role. So, in the end, just do the best you can with whatever you get. The last thing I want to leave you guys off with is just respect whatever directors you're working with. This doesn't necessarily just apply to Mr. Sherwood, but just really any director you're going to have to work with in the near future if you plan on continuing with theater. While you may not agree with every single little decision they make, in the end it's like they're kind of like the boss. They run the show, so you just gotta do what they tell you to do. I mean, sure, you can give them a few suggestions here and there. Whether or not they take them is up to them. Personally for me, from the time I've been working with Mr. Sherwood, I've honestly enjoyed every second of it. He's just such a lovable guy. He's really kind and caring, and I really think he loves his job and he cares about what he does. I really hope he sticks around for many years to come. Now, of course, I've enjoyed working with Mr. Graybeck too, but I came into theater kind of late to where pretty much everyone had their own kind of little established bond with him. So it's well, we have a mutual respect for each other. It's I don't hate him, he doesn't hate me. But it wasn't a huge hardcore bond that he had with some other people. So I kind of feel like I made my Graybeck type bond with Mr. Sherwood. So I guess that's the thing I got going for me. Overall, all I can say is just enjoy your time with theater. Make new memories and just keep it fun. This is what theater's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. You want to have a good time with this. And overall, I love you guys. best of luck to you. You guys are the future of our company. Oh yeah, before I forget, Chris, I kind of borrowed your Uno cards during Shrek and I just never gave them back. So like, if you're in the room right now, I guess this is my opportunity to kind of give these back to you. So here you go.